Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 119-108 loss to the Washington Wizards. And I'm going to say off the jump, because I'm a bit deflated, I'm a bit rotted at this game, as I'd imagine any Toronto Raptors fan is that watched that mess of a performance. This game is not a death sentence for the Toronto Raptors. We're still on a good trajectory, right? That humbling loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers we had this weekend, right, definitely sucked. And this game in here tonight was another big just gut punch, as I threw in the thumbnail of this video, but it's not a death sentence just yet. The Heat have been struggling, the Hawks have been struggling, the Nets are in an absolute free fall. It's not the end of the world. It's still very much a possibility we can push our way to the 6th seed. So I will say that, and then continue to say this was a horrific performance for the Toronto Raptors. One of the worst games I've ever seen, and not just because of, the deficit or anything like that, just because the expectations the Raptors had going into this one, and the Wizards didn't even, sure, they had some guys play well, right? Like, if you look at the stats of the Washington Wizards, right, tonight, Kuzma, like, he had 30 points, but it was a bad 30 points. Like, Kuzma was just not hitting shots. Porzingis, I thought, actually played a solid game, 25 points, 8 of 12 from the field, right? We kept Beal down pretty well. Daniel Gafford, 8 of 10. We just had no interior presence. Like, the Wizards didn't do anything crazy to beat us in this game. The Raptors just came out dead, and they didn't seem motivated on the defensive end. They were passing up open looks, taking weird shots, throwing the ball out of bounds every second possession. It felt like what are we doing? What are we doing in a situation like this where we're facing the Washington Wizards, who are a team right on our heels in terms of the play-in race? We are neck and neck with the Washington Wizards. This is essentially a must-win game with how many games are left in the season, with how many games we've chalked up to just being an absolute mess midway through this year. We needed this W, right? This is not a must-win, as I said at the beginning, because we can make it up. It's not there's 4 games left in the year, but we have to play better. I don't care if we lose a hard-fought game, where I'll come out here and be like, okay, the Raptors came out, did their best, they did their thing, there's some positives to take away, but the performance that we gave in this one tonight was embarrassing. It was disgusting. Like, this is not the energy. There was a possession, right? Let's get all the segments out of the way. Let's make this a golden kazoo. No OGs. OG was good in this game, but the end of the third quarter, I believe, or I forget what stretch of moment it was, there was like a 2-minute stretch where both teams were just playing absolutely horrific basketball, right? It looked like a grade 3 basketball game, like kids running around, going up the floor, hucking up 3-pointers, hucking up weird floaters, right? Passing the ball off people's legs, tipping it away. It was going all over the place. It was uglier than juvenile basketball. That's what it looked like out there for a stretch, and the Raptors couldn't pull it out. They couldn't pull it back. It's bad. It is a bad look, this game that they had here tonight. And let's take a look at the box scores in this one, shall we? And the first player that I know everyone's going to point to is Fred VanVleet, who 14 points, what didn't score that much with outside the garbage time and stuff the fourth quarter, but was 2 of 11 from the field, or from the 3-point line, 5 of 17 from the field. He had 7 assists, and here's the thing. Fred VanVleet was a plus 15 for the game. Fred VanVleet is not the reason we lost, but I know some people are going to say there's always a very polarizing view. No, people that love Fred VanVleet hate the guy. He's not as bad as the 2 of 11 from the 3-point line showed, but he is not as good in this game as the plus 15 in terms of plus minus showed in this game either. When he was working the pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl, it was very effective for this team in the offensive end. The Wizards went on a little bit of a cold spell. That's why he has a very high plus minus. Now, he is a big part as to why that offense was rolling in terms of running the pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl. So credit to Fred VanVleet there. We are not, with that said, we are not going to win games with our starting point guard, a guy that is a focal point in our offense, that has the ball in his hands every single possession. The ball touches Fred VanVleet's hands. If he's shooting 2 of 11 from the 3-point line, 2 of 11 from the 3-point line, that's unacceptable. And what do you have? 1 of 11 against the Bulls the other night. I know he's coming off an extended break, and I'm sure that 3-point shooting will bounce back, but that is bad. We are not we are not going to win games. Fred VanVleet shooting that poorly on a consistent basis, especially on that this schedule we have coming up. I mean, we are facing the Wizards again. We just showed that that's not an easy team to beat, right? We just lost to them, right? The Denver Nuggets, who are the top team in the Western Conference. LA Clippers, who have been struggling a little bit since they picked up Westbrook, but they are desperate right now to get some wins. The LA Lakers, they've been winning games since the All-Star break, since they picked up the VanVleet, since they picked up Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell, even though he's been hurt, right? Since their moves to the deadline, they've been kind of rejuvenated. First seed in the Western Conference again. The Oklahoma City Thunder with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they're motivated to play against us as well, as we're always talking about Shai coming to the Toronto Raptors. So there's the Thunder, the Timberwolves, who again went all in this year, are middle of the pack of the West, right? The Milwaukee Bucks, who haven't lost a game in over a month. The Pacers, the Pistons, so you get a couple easy ones there. And then the Wizards, the Heat, the Sixers, 3 games that are not going to be easy down the stretch of the season. The Hornets you might be able to get away with, even though they've been playing better basketball as of late. LaMelo Ball just went down. And then you're playing the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference to close out the season. So the schedule does not get easy. The schedule is not easy. And we can win these games, though. We can win these games. But if we play like that, we're not winning a single game for the rest of the year, right? Because the Wizards, it felt like, played bad in this one. The Wizards weren't having a great game in terms of their standards and stuff. Sure, Corey Kispert knocked down a couple threes. Sure, Bradley Beal only had 15 points, guys. Like, this was just embarrassing. It was disgusting. And Dr. Mr. or X, whatever, is saying that Fred VanVleet shot 9 of 38, 9 since coming back. Very nice indeed. Yeah, the shooting has just been horrible. It's not good. Now, we need a point guard. Like, whatever you want to happen this offseason, we'll talk about that when it comes. We need Fred VanVleet right now because he's the only guy that makes our offense look a little bit competent. And this brings us to the rest of the sort of roster. And now, I'll speak on the little positives first. OG Anunoby was great in this game. 26 points, a couple steals, did a really good job guarding Bradley Beal, right? Really recovering from the bad defensive job he did on Sunday, coming back from injury. He's been great in the past couple games for the Toronto Raptors. And Jakob Poeltl, 23 points, 13 rebounds, was 2 blocks, 3 steals, was sat for an extended stretch. I've seen a lot of people criticize Nick Nurse, and we're going to get to Nick Nurse in this video. But even though he did get 32 minutes, Jakob Poeltl, if we're playing one guy close to 40 minutes, Poeltl should be that guy. I mean, at this point, like, he's our only true center, especially with Koloko not really being in the lineup. He is an integral piece, but people aren't here for the positives. And Scotty Barnes was average in this one at best, 14 points, missed a lot of bunnies. He needs to be more efficient from the field. But Pascal had one of his lesser games of the season, 13 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, which is all right, but 4 turnovers, 6 of 16 from the field. It's not great. But Chris Boucher off the bench was pretty good. 12 points, 3 rebounds, and a couple of really nice drives, and only 13 minutes. And this is where it's going to come into the reasons why we took these L's. And now, what was all the hype about? What were people most hyped up about in the Chicago Bulls game? The fact that we didn't play anyone over 35 minutes. The fact that we trusted our bench to go out there and be productive. And yes, they weren't that great coming off the pine there tonight. With the exception of Chris Boucher, Gary Trent Jr., 2 of 7 from the field. Right, Will Barton in 7 minutes, 0 of 2. I'll get to Will Barton after. Precious Achiuwa, he's really been struggling as of late. Thaddeus Young, 0 points, 0 of 2 from the field in 4 minutes. But Nurse, like, before we talk about any of the other guys' performances, you give the players like a couple minutes run here and there. They're not going to do anything. It's just not going to happen, right? You need to have them trust that they're going to get some opportunities, get some run, get some playing time to get their game going a little bit. Especially Chris Boucher, who's out here. Sure, his lineup was a minus 16 for the game, but like he's 12 points in 13 minutes. Right, the Raptors really struggled. I guess they had 108 points, but their offense went into some lulls. Like, especially when we're not getting that usual bucket production from a Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, you need to sort of run through some guys. And that brings me to the next player. Will Barton, yes. Every team that's had Will Barton, you look back and say, oh, you might not be in love with Will Barton once you pick him up. But we needed some scoring, especially for stretches in this game. And I'll talk about the overarching offense, everything involved. this team is plagued with guys that just sort of hesitate. They catch it on the wing and they hesitate, right? They kind of pause. They don't know if they're going to shoot it. They don't know if they, even our good 3-point shooters kind of do that at times. The exception of Fred, but Fred is shooting two of whatever the heck he's shooting from the field, or he's the only one that's firing it with confidence from behind the 3-point line, it feels like. And, you know, Will Barton at least had confidence when he's hoisting those shots up. And he only took 2 in this game. Right, he's brought in to be a bucket getter. If he's going to be playing 7 minutes a night, he's not going to be able to get on fire for this team. It's tough. And Hugh G reaction is saying, it's a one night we shoot well from the free throw line, we can't finish the game. That's very true. And kudos to Jakob Poeltl, as Frenchie shooting guard is saying, right? Like, we get that, right? We get that, and then I don't know. It's brutal. It's brutal. And why did Jeff Dowtin get sent back to the G League? Were his games that he played with Fred gone meaningless? Yeah, I don't know what's happened with Jeff Dowtin, but a night like this, because Jeff Dowtin's the other guy on this team that can actually run our offense, that can actually facilitate for other guys, that can actually get our game going. So we need him out there if Fred VanVleet's not out there on the court and he's struggling. And Kenneth's asking for a new tank animation. I haven't played this animation yet, but we are definitely in for a Raptors therapy session here today, because I need your guys' coping methods however we're doing this, because it is not looking good. Not looking good in this game. I'm still confident the Raptors will be able to turn things around. I'm hoping they really have a bounce-back, motivated game this weekend against the Washington Wizards, but this one was ugly. This was a gut punch. This was horrible for our team. And, you know, I don't even want to rant about this too much. This is just not even something crazy to get fired up about. And Raj was saying we really need Miami and Atlanta to lose, help us out. That's true. And they have been losing. That's the thing. The Miami Heat, the Nets, the Hawks, they're giving us an open opportunity in this Eastern Conference to claim that 6th seed. That's why I'm not that, you know, shook about the squad at this point right now. I think we can make that push, but it's bad. It's bad out here at this point. And we got a super chat coming in from Paul Blunt saying, we got beat by Stinky Pinky wearing a pink jersey. A new low. Yeah, this is a new low, Paul Blunt. And this is why I've been on the Stinky Pinky bandwagon. I've been saying, bring this man home. Right? We've been calling for Stinky Pinky to join the Raptors. Right? We wanted that to happen. And, you know, unfortunately, it hasn't. I don't know, man. He's always injured. But a healthy Stinky Pinky is a good basketball player. And Daniel Gafford's a good center. I mean, Jakob Poeltl did all he could out there in just 32 minutes, but they were still bullying us on the front line. It's tough. It's a tough situation right now for the Toronto Raptors. Starters playing too many minutes, aka Fred and Pascal, were worn up by the playoffs. Boucher should be at least 20 minutes a night, especially on games like this. That's when Boucher should be playing that many minutes. I think Flynn is out of the rotation, but give Scotty that run. Keep Jeff Dowtin onto the lineup. We need to bench Scotty Barnes or Fred VanVleet some minutes. But we have Gary only playing, how many minutes did Gary Trent Jr. play? 18 minutes in this one? 18 minutes for Gary Trent Jr. Is that really what we want to be sending a message? I know he wasn't that great. Minus 26 in his 18 minutes, but I don't know. I don't know what to say about this team. It was just a horrific night, an ugly game, one of the most deflating games I've ever watched, given the amount of hype the Raptors have been drumming up in recent games. You know, I was out here yesterday calling for the chip, right? Get that sound off. We're undefeated in the Will Barton era. That was not long lasted, but folks, it is, you know, Ben Rogers is for real. You know, we try to keep it for real out here on these podcasts. We will clinch 7th, but no way are we going to clinch 6th. That's Raj. I think 6 is attainable. Yeah, Hughes is saying it exactly at the same time as I'm saying it. I think we can still get 6. We just need to turn things around. And we have been turning things around. Like, this team knows how to bounce back. We had moments in this game where it looked like we might have been able to really get our game back and rolling, but it's tough. And if we want to make an impact, we can only afford to lose 6 of our next 18. That's a decent point, Stratus Senpai, but I don't know, maybe the Celtics and the Bucks are resting guys at the end of the season. That could definitely be something that's possible. This game was tough to watch, especially after the sequence where both teams running back on the floor, missing shots around the rim. Yeah, that was just pitiful. That was an embarrassing sort of stretch of minutes for this team, but I can't even talk about this game at this point. It's making me sick. It's making me sick to my stomach. I actually have a pain in my stomach right now. watching this game at this point. But I'm still confident the Raptors will be able to turn things around. I'm hoping we have a motivating performance in our next game against the Washington Wizards, because we got to turn things around ASAP. That's true. And Pat Love saying, let's go Raptors. 100%. Got to keep cheering for the Raps, right? For people that are going to be on the tank wagon after, these losses. Sure, you could criticize the moves of the deadline, and I think hindsight will best judge what the deadline moves, the deadline decisions are the outcome, especially come free agency for this year's trade deadline evaluated. But we're too deep into this to really go into the tank wagon. People calling for the kazoos and the tank for the trauma for Wembanyama. But it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. But folks, you guys are the best for making this far. Paul Blunt's calling for this VG water back. Gotta update those graphics, but you guys are the best for making this far. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you guys are interested in sports betting, definitely check out the Cool Bet Sportsbook. The Sportsbook regulated in Ontario, available all across Canada. You can bet on every single Toronto Raptors game, NBA game, really any sport in general. They've been supporting the podcast big time, so use the link down below to sign up for Cool Bet. I don't know what to tell you. Bet for the Toronto Raptors against the Toronto Raptors. It's unpredictable at this point, but get some good odds using the Cool Bet Sportsbook and Canadian, all that sort of stuff. But folks, I appreciate you guys as always. Subscribe to the channel. I'm deflated right now. I gotta go to bed. But I appreciate you guys as always. Stay tuned. More energies coming next pod. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.